Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Simon and we are the Wells of Wall Street. We're looking quickly here at Ubix network, that is UBX on the exchange. Before we go into the chart, we'll just have a quick look at Ubix and also its silent notary aspect, which is USBN. Unfortunately, I don't have chart data for USBN, but we can certainly have a look at it on CoinMarketCap in a second. But I'm super excited about Ubix and its opportunity in the future using this DAG algorithm that it's got. In my opinion, I think like DAG's going to be the infrastructure in place to take blockchain to another level, rather than sort of linear transactional activity. We're talking about, really opening up that kind of peer-to-peer aspect, but in a multitude of different layers, different levels, vertically, horizontally, all over the place, pretty much being able to link things faster, quicker, more efficient. We did an intro video on Ubix. Go check that out. We will leave an intro video link at the end of this one. But of course, Silent Notary as well, which is one of the fantastic projects that we actually picked out on in that intro video as well. There's some big opportunities around UBSN. But what I like about it at the moment, and what we picked out in that video, was just the aspect of what it's going to achieve in the real world. It's around events. Okay, so when you've got like proof of view, proof of consensus, like so veracity, for example, with the proof of view mechanism around NFTs and video, confirmations and verifications of certain views and things like that. What I liked about Silent Notary, or in this instance, the USBN aspect, UBSN, sorry, I'm getting mixed up with something else. What I liked about this is this just algorithm of even things like this as a case study, for example, instant video notarization for construction delivery in the case of accidents. So, and I think I remember making a reference to a game called, I think it's District, on Xbox. I'm sure it's on another couple of consoles or whatever platforms as well. But it reminded me of that because when you're wandering around the streets and you're looking at historic information to try and piece together what's happened in the past, I kind of clicked when I sort of read and viewed these like particular videos of case studies, in the sense that, oh wow, okay, that makes sense now, because now in this instance, if you have a car accident, with the algorithm of things like the internet being built into cars moving forward, and this whole 5G smart grid system and AI, IoT, if you have a car crash, obviously a lot of it will be monitored in terms of GPS location. The car will have all essentially like a black box within it, and that if you did have a crash and with maybe someone else in another vehicle as well, all of this information would kind of already be captured, and actually based on the way a person was perhaps found in the car, or the accident had occurred, or the different dents, the different shape of the car after the accident, whatever it is, they can piece it together. And this whole like algorithm basically of this silent notary aspect, tokenomics and everything, will enable that to occur. So I think it's really interesting, that kind of aspect to it. Of course, it does cover a load of other different things as well as those kind of cases. But certainly in terms of verification and activation of being verified, I think it's a really interesting thing to be involved in. And we look at this price point here at the moment. I mean, obviously we've got to take into consideration things like supply and demand, etc. But there's a multitude of UBSN tokens there. I think that's a statistic from their website. But yeah, it's roughly around that number, and a big total supply of 186 billion as well. So there's loads to get involved with. But I'm thinking about the future, guys. Like, I'm sure Ubix and UBSN will have some great moves in these next few months. But for me, my opinion is about something like maybe 5-10 years time, these prices will be non-existent, and this kind of technology will really have taken off. And even into the future, even further, talking about like maybe 15 years. So it is a long-term hold in my opinion. But like I said, I'm sure there's opportunities along the way. But like I said, I haven't unfortunately got any chart analysis as such for UBSN. Hopefully one of the exchanges will add this in. And on that note of exchanges, by the way, is limited at the moment. Probit Global, CoinTiger and Bitrue. Bitrue is one I've used personally, so I'll be probably adding some of that this week on payday. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how this continues to push itself. Digital events, really exciting to see how this portrays itself over the years. But back to Ubix as well, of course, a fantastic project in itself, and one we're very excited to hold. Of course, it kind of makes you look like an absolute don when you've got hundreds of thousands of them in there, but actually it's because of the price point so low, it's very easy to achieve that. But I'm hoping obviously in the future that does come into fruition, and my beliefs in it and the research that we've done backs that up with some unbelievable price points in the future. Of course, got a lot of tokens to get through and some supply elements there to think about as well. But this price point and these whole market cap situation, I think, is quite positive in my opinion, and we've got a long way to go. When we see like bigger prices than what we have already seen. And I guess on that note, guys, let's just jump into the chart. Before we wrap this video up. So smash that like button if you like what you hear or are seeing, and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. And if you are new to the channel, welcome aboard. That means you need to smash the subscribe button as well. But guys, let's look at this chart. We've had a good movement over the last couple of days. I'm just going to see how much of a move that really is over the last 48 hours. So we had a big push up for 70-80%. It looks like we've had a bit of a correction since then, so not massive. But of course, what I do anticipate is potentially a reduction down perhaps to this potential support line mechanism here. What's interesting is when I put this macro fib in about an hour or so ago, it's very interesting that this is almost very nearly touched this mark here around this 0.0012 mark. So quite interesting that it had resistance there and slightly just over this longer term fib retracement as well. So it's kind of matched 2 and 2 there to sort of entail that we weren't quite ready perhaps to get some support mechanism here, or at least try and push ourselves even further to maybe that 0.0015 mark. So it looks like we're trying to obtain some stability just over this mark here at 0.001. Pretty much bang on the nose, that is, to be honest, before we collate whether we're going to move in a sideways pattern and move up again to try and test these new lines, or if we might have a bit of a retracement just because we've had that good little run over the last few days. But if you remember in the previous video, we drew this sort of area here as an area of interest, and we said that actually if we get 2 or 3 days of consolidation around this area, we could push up, and that's pretty much happened really. It probably actually took a day or two extra than we thought it would, but the principle is still there, and we did have the touchdowns as well for a buy opportunity to get some sneaky gains in there of accumulation. Just makes it a bit more fun, doesn't it? I know the prices aren't gigantically different at these levels, but it may make a difference in the long run. Who knows? Imagine if this gets to $1 one day. I'll be laughing for sure. But very much interesting movements from this UBX movement in the last couple of days. So it's going to be interesting. My anticipation is that we will probably come down back to this area, arguably have a bit of a bounce around here for a couple of days, and then maybe jump back up to try and test this level, because I do think we're entering like almost kind of like a mini bullish momentum across multiple charts at the moment. I'd be a bit disappointed to see this crash down further. However, based on that algorithm, if we do get some consolidation in this area and it is starting to look like it's being dragged down, we could easily come back down to these kind of areas even lower. What I mean is around this area, because actually if you look historically, unfortunately this chart, particularly in terms of data, only goes back so far, but we can at least still see and make a good case that certainly in the last few months there hasn't really been much mechanism of support or resistance at any of these levels, to be honest. So what I'm going to do right now, just for the sake of reference, is just pinpoint a few areas here of interest in my opinion. I'm just going to have a look quickly. Definitely around here, because you've got like some really good touch points around these areas. You've got a lot of rejections as well, quite hard ones as well in those periods of time. But in this area here's even more interesting, because the wicks are slightly smaller, so this is entailing that it was close to doing it. It was trying really hard to do it. It wasn't quite like before back here in May time when there was too much uncertainty. It looked like they had a good go at it. So I'm really interested to see this area. We shot straight past it today. That's why I'm saying this area is of interest. But don't think don't remove the thought out of your mind that we could have a bit of a wick down and perhaps even test these areas before coming back up here again to come jumping back up. So let's see how the next few days go. I'm really excited to see what happens in the next 24-48 hours, because we could get some resistance and jump back up. But there is an anticipation that we may come back down to this area if we don't get the support line here. So it's all very well and very nice to see these big jumps every now and then, but it's all about, can we get the support mechanism, guys? Because otherwise it just comes back down. Now, we've seen it on a couple of occasions now. Obviously we had the correction here, but we've had since then, so let's look at the 30th of September, for example. We had this nice rise over a 4-day period. Then we had a bit of a correction, but we found the support mechanism on this line here. We had the nice jump up, as we've seen perhaps today and yesterday. Similarly, at about a week and a half ago, we've had the consolidation. We've had to sort of, if you look closely at these micro levels, some good movements up and down on these lines. And it was quite interesting to see the development of this over a 4 or 5 day period. But it looks like we've tried to push it as much as we could, and we've gone way over the line here. And we couldn't, unfortunately, get support here. That's why we're here where we are today, right now, as of recording. But guys, there's a few hours left. Let's see what happens. But I do anticipate us dropping back a bit further to this level before we decide what we do. So we'll cover this again over the next couple of days. And if we see anything critical happening, we'll jump on another video for sure. I mean, in my opinion, there's still room in the tank for the RSI. Whether we do that in one big swoop tomorrow, or if we do have the bounce up and down for a couple of days, either of those I'm sure will happen. But let us know what you think. Are you holding UBX? Are you holding UBSN? Let us know in the comments below if you're holding either of those, and what are your anticipations for the years to come for Ubix, and in particular DAG. We do have a DAG video dropping I think Thursday or Friday this week, because I'm really interested in this topic, and there's a lot of other really cool assets around the DAG operability in blockchain. So looking forward to dropping that. Hopefully you'll join us on that one. But guys, until then, we will wrap this up there, and we will see you in the next Ubix update. Thank you guys, and bye bye.